Good evening, good people. This is your host, Calvin Anderson, with the Check In With podcast. Yes, we have another special guest with us today. She's actually the last person for season one before myself. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Denisa Silvana Bordas. Denisa, how are you?
Thank you so much, Calvin, for having me. I am very well, very happy to be here and grateful that you chose me as one of your guests.
No, it is my pleasure. Firstly, thank you so much for saying yes, because you could have plainly said no. Um, and you are a busy individual, as people will get to know eventually. Um, Let me start with this. Let me start with what pushed you to embark on your journey?
Thank you for this question, Calvin. It's a very complex question that I could discuss endlessly, but at its core, what actually pushed me was the desire to do good and give back to my community. My journey actually began when I started studying biomedical science at London Metropolitan University back in 2019, where my research actually focused on head and neck cancer. My studies were particularly focused on the immunosurgical chemotherapy of squamous cell carcinoma, though I initially wanted to focus on ovarian cancer due to my personal connection to my grandmother, who raised me and unfortunately passed away from it. And a bit of a backstory, as you probably already know, I have started hardly working from a very young age. At 15, I started a job at the Kinder Egg Surprise Factory back in Romania, where I would wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, would cycle for an hour to work, and only get a 50-minute break for entire day. Instead of actually finishing at 3 p.m., I would often stay until 5 p.m. in the evening. And the money that I made, about 200 euros, I sent them to my father back in 2015 as their real estate business collapsed due to the financial crisis back in Romania. As you probably already know, my parents are both legal advisors with a successful 30-year multi-million euro business. And that was deeply affected back then. And back then, their divorce meant that I had to move to another city where I learned German between the age of 13 and 16. I actually studied German from when I was 5 to 16. So it was a good 11 years of only German. Later on, traveled to Vienna, where I explored pursuing medicine, but I found the environment not as welcoming. No offense to the Germans or to the Austrians, but I eventually got blessed and moved to London, where my parents actually reconciled. So I think it was a blessing from God. Yeah, as you heard, my childhood wasn't easy. My mother struggled with her own mental health, and I think she projected her suffering onto me and my sister. So I became a parentified daughter that took care of my younger sister, particularly because we were raised by nannies and my grandmother until I was 14. I was always the therapist of the family, and this role shaped my future relationships and my career choices, which have always kind of revolved around saving or caring for others. In the UK, my first job was actually, and don't laugh at this, it was at McDonald's. It was at McDonald's and I earned £4.75 an hour. And I feel like that role as a 17-year-old was so exploitative. But afterward, I kind of got saved and worked as a lifeguard for 2 years, which I thoroughly enjoyed because I used to compete back home swimming.
Yeah.
So I ensured the safety and well-being of people at the poolside while providing mental health support and first aid. Then I kind of switched careers and went into door-to-door marketing, and I pitched brands like Gusto, British Gas, and HelloFresh. And this was a tough thing because it was only commission paid. So like I wouldn't actually make money if I wasn't selling. So it would be quite mentally drenching if I wouldn't make anything, because it would be a waste of energy and a waste of money as well. So yeah, breaking away from that, I joined the corporate world at John Lewis, where I worked for 5 years as a fashion consultant and a stylist.
Mhm.
I managed high profile clientele and developed organizational skills and had quite good attention to details. However, during the COVID-19 pandemic, my workplace became very toxic. My manager at the time was quite abusive, racist, unsupportive, and that led to me having severe anxiety, panic attacks, and eventually I broke into psychosis from all the stress. So after that, I was hospitalized for 3 months and battled relapses between 2020 and 2022. But despite these challenges, I began my recovery journey and I started pursuing a master's at King's, which was in psychology and neuroscience of mental health. After that, my professional experiences furthered more into the VIP hosting area at the O2 Arena, where I worked with elite celebrities for 5 years, including my boy Stormzy as well, which I love deeply. However, even there, I faced disappointment after that and got mistreated from management. And similar experiences occurred at Gant when I was an assistant manager and at the Uber board, where I experienced a lot of harassment, unfair dismissals, and severe stress that even led to a miscarriage. But given all this, I think I turned my life around and it went completely to a 180 because I stepped out of the toxic corporate environment and I started working as an event manager for major organizations that you already mentioned, including Formula One, Meta, Shopify, Nike, BMW, Rolex, and prestigious events like the King's Coronation and the Queen's Wake. I organized events like the Candlelight Concert in London, which I do consider as a form of therapy alongside my personal activities as Zumba, Bachata, and Muay Thai. And to finish off that question, today I am proud to be part of the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology, and Neuroscience at King's College London, and I do their event management. I am also a proud social mind champion, and I am working on a project called Social Mind with King's College London Hospital and King's College. And this focuses on a brief CBT intervention that aims at reducing social stress and improving social functioning in individuals that experience their first episode of psychosis. My work also involves data collection, qualitative and quantitative analysis, and measures outcomes related to social functioning, psychotic symptoms, depression, and anxiety. And this is where my fellowship that I think King's for and research expertise come into play.
I don't know anyone who has worked for so many different sectors in, and I guess worked at the highest level for all these
Mhm.
things. I guess the one question from hearing everything that you said was, where does that, you know, that drive to keep going and getting better and improving and learning, and where does that come from? Because you obviously had it from a young age. and
Mhm.
you've just continued to excel and be great at what you do. Where does that come from? Just to keep going, and you went through so much, and I want to say
Yeah.
thank you. I want to say thank you for sharing the most vulnerable parts of your life. Also, what what made you just keep going? Like, what made you not just give up? What was it that said, you know what, I've been through this, but I'm gonna keep going?
Mhm. Yeah, I think as I said before, I think God has played such a huge part into my life and to my both my social and professional development.
Yeah.
I am forever grateful for God and for my parents that have also always been such a big example to me,
Mhm.
because as my professional expertise, my mother actually had a triple degree as well. So she started pursuing medicine, and then she moved into acting, directing, and producing. That's how she met my dad, actually. She started million-euro business in real estate with my dad, and then she also got him to pursue a master's in law as well. So it's so much that I have learned from my mom, and I hope that I could give back and also make her proud, and maybe achieve a small percentage of what she has done
Yeah.
and everything that she's done for me and my sister, that I'm forever grateful for.
That's powerful. So you literally come from greatness, in essence. Okay, because I'm still trying to process like everything you said in the first question. But what I want to move on to
Hmm.
is, you spoke on psychiatry, psychology, and neuroscience.
Yeah.
And I want to know, and you can go as deep as you want to go, what is the link between them, would you say?
And I think for me, the link between psychiatry, psychology, and neuroscience is the brain, which is a remarkable organ, much of which remains unexplored. The brain's complexities drive how we understand mental health, cognition, and human behavior. So, for instance, the way stress impacts the brain highlights the interconnectedness of these fields. For example, sleep deprivation, which a lot of us kind of suffer from, that can shrink the hippocampus and trigger stress, which actually can lead to inflammation, which is a factor that is linked to diseases such as cancer. So, my background in biomedical science helps me connect these insights, particularly when I study addiction. So, it is fascinating how the brain of a gambler, for example, can mirror that of a person with Tourette's. Is mind blowing.
Take us further into that. Take us into the brain. What could you tell us more about that in terms of the intricacies and the dynamic of it?
I think that's I think the brain is such a complex organ, and I think a lot of it we haven't studied. If I think about the brain, and if I think about my favorite thing, which is neurogenesis, which you probably heard of, which actually stands for building new neural pathways and new neural cells. So neurogenesis is a event that happens in the brain where when we exercise, when we have a balanced diet, when we start meditating, reading, probably not being deprived. So that's something that we should really work on. And then actually going to this, I spent a few hours earlier on shopping for some really important things for the brain and that I would actually want to go into. So, firstly, I picked some goji berries, which are a nutrient dense superfood that really support mental health and physical health. They are rich in antioxidants and have the vitamin C as well. So this helps reduce oxidative stress in the brain, and also support cognitive health.
Mhm.
It can also enhance your mood. They contain compounds that also increase serotonin and dopamine levels. So they improve your mood and they reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, as well as boosting your energy, reducing stress. The second thing that I shopped for was cranberries that are often overlooked in society for their mental health benefits, but they are rich in nutrients that also support the brain function in as being high in vitamin C, vitamin E, antioxidants, and they also protect the brain from oxidative damage.
Yeah.
Their anti-inflammatory properties also play a big part in reducing that. As you probably already know, chronic inflammation is linked to mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, and the cranberry anti-inflammatory effects help alleviate symptoms and also improve cognitive function. So regular consumption of these cranberries can improve memory and then also reduce cognitive decline due to the neuroprotective effects. There was another thing that I shopped for, which was ashwagandha gummies. Now, hear me out. It's a powerful adaptogen, which significantly benefits mental health. So it reduces stress, lowers cortisol levels, helps you manage and reduce symptoms of anxiety as well, improves sleep, which we probably a lot of us need working in the field of mental health. So I think that's very essential for emotional and mental health,
Mhm.
and also enhances your mood, supports your cognitive pathways by improving your focus, attention, and memory, and reduces brain fog and oxidative stress as well. I also got some vitamin C gummies that also help mental health. So, because they make neurotransmitter production, they also relieve stress and anxiety, protect the brain, enhance mood, support energy and immunity as well. So these are some recommendations on me.
How has studying these subjects impacted you?
I think studying this subject has profoundly changed my life, and I learned practical tools to cope with anxiety and depression, particularly through models like mindfulness and addiction studies, which taught me a lot about containment techniques, about cognitive behavior therapies, breathing exercises, sleeping better. And I think that I have made lifestyle changes, including eliminating alcohol and adopting a healthier diet. As you probably already know or heard of, the Latin phrase mens sana in corpore sano, meaning a healthy mind in a healthy body, has basically become my mantra. I've learned how diet impacts brain health, with processed food and sugar contributing to the opposite of neurogenesis, which is called neural cell death or necrosis. So conversely, elements like these and omega-3 fatty acids, ketogenic diets, flavonoids, curcumin, and melatonin also have helped me greatly promote my positive mental health. Additionally, I'm not too sure if I mentioned, but I have started pursuing a online neuroscience course at Harvard University and a data analysis fellowship, which also helped me put this all into place. So I greatly thank King's College for sponsoring both this for me with in my current research on psychosis.
How do you manage doing all these different things? What's your kind of self-care? How do you manage that? How do you put the boundaries in place? How do you know when to switch off? How are you managing all these different roles that you occupy?
Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy, but because I've kind of gotten used to working from such a young age, if I don't work or if I don't do something, I get imposter syndrome and I kind of can't live with myself like that. I used to manage mental health and avoid burnout is traveling. So I started traveling on a monthly basis back in 2022. And I think I've reached about 23 countries at the moment. And I really find traveling so decompressing to my mind. And then also seeing new things and new places helps your brain to.
Denisa, can you share a success story?
Sure, I can. My greatest success story has actually been my ability to overcome all these life challenges and channel them into meaningful work, especially after battling severe psychosis. I not only recovered, but I also advanced so much academically and professionally. And I am forever grateful for that. As mentioned, my work as a social mind champion has helped not just me, but other people battling psychosis, giving them trust. And I think this is something that I would have definitely loved having when I was battling psychosis, because we work with 84 patients all across London, 8 other psychiatrists as well. So it's quite a huge cohort. But I think the things that we do have a very positive impact. So yeah, I'm forever grateful for this journey. And obviously from turning it from personal suffering to professional achievement, I think it just exemplifies my resilience and my commitment to helping others and giving back.
I commend you on you know the continual urgency to learn and to develop and become better, to help and give back. I think that's so powerful. And on that note, just in terms of us talking about the field, Denisa, what do you feel is missing from the field? What do you think needs to happen?
Thing that I think is missing from the field is a more holistic approach to mental health. As someone that has been raised in a Christian Orthodox background, I value my intersection with spirituality, traditional medicine, and modern therapy. So, experiencing psychosis was definitely a personal hell, but it also inspired me to find better treatments with fewer side effects. Because I know that the antipsychotic medications like clonazepam, risperidone, and aripiprazole that I was using can be life-saving, but they do come with severe drawbacks. And one of that for me was severe dystonia, which, if you don't know, it's similar condition to Parkinson's, where you kind of shake uncontrollably. Um, and that happened for months. And I couldn't find any cure for it until I was actually praying. And I think I was saying Psalm 92, and I just stopped shaking, Calvin. I think God is so powerful, and I think spirituality is so important in overcoming such difficult mental health journeys.
Yeah.
And I do urge a lot of our listeners to get in touch with their spiritual side, because it does change lives, and it changed mine, and it helped me from like do well and become better and help back from suffering. And I think it's beautiful. And I think and I hope that my research will contribute in developing treatments that address both the biological and the spiritual dimensions of mental health.
How has what you studied changed the way you engage with people in your life?
I think that studying these subjects actually made me more introspective and analytical.
Yeah.
And now I carefully observe and analyze situations. Sometimes I do overthink interactions, but I think that my intuition rarely fails me.
Yeah.
Yet I sometimes ignore it, and I remain attached to the people that I should have distanced myself from, because I believe in second chances. I think that my knowledge has deepened my empathy, but it also taught me to prioritize my mental well-being when engaging with others. Yeah, and then also a favorite thing of mine that I started listening to within in parallel to my studies, which is a philosophical way of living, is Stoicism, which taught me a lot about detachment and mindfulness and the way of Stoic life. I wouldn't really call it cynical, but I would definitely call it professionally thought about, because I think even in life, you have to be a professional and think deeply about all the actions that you're doing, and that everything that you do makes a difference. And karma is huge, and giving positive things back will help you receive positive back.
Someone's heard you mention the word stoicism. Where can one learn, or what book would you recommend to learn about stoicism?
It's Marcus Aurelius Meditations. So this is definitely the book that I recommend for a beginner Stoic.
How has that changed your life in terms of having stoicism? Like, how do you maneuver now in a work setting, in your professional setting, in your social circles, in life? How has that changed the way you navigate things?
It changed it greatly, because back when I didn't know about Stoicism, I used to get affected very easily about the smallest situations, or like changes in behavior, or I just love psychoanalysis, and I would analyze people and situations so deeply and would let it affect me. But since I've actually learned about Stoicism and what it entails, I learned how to detach myself from the situation, and how to understand that people's responses don't actually concern me. It's not something that I can control. What I can control, and what Stoicism teaches, is the way that I respond, or the way that I lack of response, especially a emotional one. So when we think about that, we would think about a negative emotional response. So rather than that, you'd rather not respond and just stay cynical.
If you weren't in your current field, what would you be doing?
If I weren't in my current field, I would most likely pursue medicine, because back in the days, I had the opportunity to gain cardiothoracic work experience at St. Bart's Hospital. So this was when I was 19 and started my biomedical journey. So that's where I actually met some Austrian students that were studying neurology. So that kind of is a full circle moment for me, because that kind of made me ignite my passion for neuropsychiatry. But my passion for medicine, as you could already probably tell, it remains so strong, and it aligns with my desire to understand the human body and improve people's lives through a holistic approach.
With all that you've gained, all that you've acquired, all the knowledge you've attained, yeah, like what's the next level?
Recently, I have joined the London Student Network
Yeah.
as an event and marketing director. So we are planning to unite about 500,000 students within the UK, and have their stories heard and societies met. A lot of these events, I would probably focus on mental health, promoting positive mental health. For example, I had a beautiful friend of mine, a guest in the past at the IOPPN. Her name is Moon Onyx Star, who is a my personal coach and a self-development expert. And she also focuses on aging, and how you shouldn't be letting age define you. We also have lined up my dear friend from back in Romania, who is a professor at NYU University, and he specializes in philosophy and neuroscience. And he will come in around February and give a talk. So you are more than welcome to come and join both. And then yeah, definitely, you definitely have to. Everyone has to, because it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be both so like such a different topics, but such good insights. And then what else? I recently started doing some marketing for Dior. So I'm currently doing that until Christmas and being a brand ambassador for them. And so I um dressed all over in Dior lately. I'm not saying I hate it. I love Dior. I love the color red, and I feel like it's so powerful and so feminine, and I think everyone should feel empowered. So I love that. I really love that. And also Rihanna, I think she's a new ambassador of Dior, and I love Rihanna. So
Denisa, before you go, there's a few rapid fun questions I'd like to throw at you before you go. Is that all right?
oh, okay, that's surprising. Sure, let's do it.
Okay. I'll ask this one first since you like to travel. If you had to pick a location to work remotely in, where would it be and why?
Oh, you can't do this to me, Calvin. Um, I think it's so difficult because every every time that I travel, the city or the country that I travel to becomes my favorite city. Um, should I think it could be like a submarine location somewhere I can get some vitamin D from because it's very beneficial for your mental health and well-being. I don't know. Maybe Bali or Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Yeah, I think this is a quote that my dad would tell me growing up, and it's don't dream your dreams, live them.
Is that something you've held on to?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've held on to this quote for the longest, and I am forever grateful for my dad to implanting this quote into my head.
Yeah.
And I hope that I have made him proud in fulfilling this quote as well.
Do you have a favorite book or film?
From as long as I can remember, I would walk to school and back with a book in my hand. But I really am a big fan of Marvel and DC, especially Deadpool and Batman.
High five.
So it's quite hard. It's quite hard to pick, but I do love a psychological horror movie, and so I can dissect it properly.
First of all, high five for liking DC and Marvel. That is great. And it's interesting because of what you do and because of what we do. I'm surprised that you haven't dissected Batman's kind of
Mhm.
ethos, and or maybe you have,
Oh,
I don't know.
yes, I have started. I don't think that I became an expert at it, but I definitely have started my journey into dissecting his persona.
Amazing. Amazing. And as you're into fashion,
Mhm.
if you had to pick a color to wear forever, and this is the only color you could wear, different
Mhm.
outfits, what color would it be?
Oh, I really am wondering what you would think that I'm gonna pick, but I'm gonna answer and then let you change your mind or not.
Okay.
So my favorite, this is actually part of a psychological game that I actually do when meeting people. So this is part of a free way question that I can share with you
Please.
after.
Yeah.
So my favorite color is turquoise
Okay.
because it's energetic and bubbly and it reminds me of me a lot. Hence why that's basically the answer to the favorite color. But what's your personality like? And then the other two to this little psychological game was what's your favorite color? Then what's your favorite animal?
Hmm.
Then what's your favorite form of water?
You asking me this?
I mean, let's ask each other. Yeah, sure.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Go on then.
So my favorite color is red.
Mhm,
Favorite animal is tiger.
mhm.
And favorite, you said type of water, you said, right?
Correct.
Would be spring. Spring.
Nice. Lovely. And now the question on top of that is, what did these make you feel?
So red, I would say there's just a leadership in, I think you said earlier, a leadership power and quality to it. Obviously love is definitely red. But there's also the other side of that, which can be, passion and danger as well, depending on what it is. Tiger, because the strength and resilience. In some ways, there is a stoicism with tigers, depending on where you are, or the place that they are dwelling in. And with spring water, I don't know. I mean, when you hear spring, you kind of just think of rejuvenation, restoration. You think of newness. You think of like a new birth of life and just a refreshing or renewing. So yeah, that's why I think those.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's correct. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yourself, go ahead.
Myself, well, I said the turquoise color, which is bubbly and energetic and full of life,
Yeah.
and it reminds me of my personality. Then the animal would be the penguin because fun fact, back when I was 18, I adopted Alfred, who's my penguin at the London Zoo. So now he's about 8 years old, and I have him tattooed on my leg.
Okay.
But the things that this animal makes me feel is are great because penguins are loyal for life and they mate for life. And there is a theory, it's called the pebble theory, where a penguin will bring a pebble to the other penguin in sign of true and eternal love. And I think that's beautiful. And then the form of water is the ocean because I think it's magnetic and is unpredictable. And I compare it to the brain because as the brain, a lot of the ocean is unexplored and unknown, but we are yet to find out.
Yeah.
And then it can also bring storms, but calm them down. So I think that's beautiful.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. So
Denisa,
do you know what this mean actually?
go on. Tell me, what does it mean?
So the color mean it's your personality.
Mhm.
Then the animal is your ideal partner.
Okay.
And then the water is your now or your potential romantic life.
So that's what that means.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very cool.
So, guys, you heard it here first. The psychological game, powerful tool. I didn't even know that's what it meant, but we have Denisa here telling us and sharing that with us. Denisa, people have heard you speak today. Where can they find you?
Yeah, they have. I hope they have, and I hope they liked it or they can relate. They can find me on Instagram at Denisa Silvana, or they can connect with me on LinkedIn at Denisa Silvana Bordas. So yeah, I'm gonna be on both platforms and waiting to say hi to them.
Denisa, I want to request something from you, and you can say yes or no.
Okay.
Could you say a prayer for us to you know leave us with something that we can hold on to and listen back to before we leave today?
Okay. Although normally do in Romanian, I
Okay,
can I can try. I can give it a try.
cool.
God, we are grateful for tonight's podcast, and we are grateful to be here and to be healthy and happy and nurtured and fulfilled. And thank you so much for this journey that you've taken us on. And thank you so much for the things that are yet to come. and for bringing us together and for having us in your grace. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Calvin Anderson. We had Denisa, Silvana, Bordas with us today. God bless you, Denisa. Listeners,
God bless you.
have a great night. Speak to you soon. Take care. God bless.